first theme of Neptune and Aries is rejection of the narrative, radicalization, and the idea of might makes right. So I'm beginning with this theme because I believe that this is going to be the most important and core internal process that is going to be developing slowly over this 14-year transit. And the more that I contemplated and was writing this video, it came back to this theme, that this would be this is kind of the foundation, you can think of it. And so in the previous era of Neptune and Pisces between 2011 and to 2025, the era of the narrative and the personal narrative, which was spurred on by the explosion of the use of smartphones and social media. So this, I like to use the phrase, was the era of the belief wars. What makes this new era so different, what will make it so much more different, is that it won't matter anymore what you believe, because what it will come down to is what power do you actually have to change something that is beyond your publishing words on the internet or just spouting your opinions. And we're all creating narratives about what's happening in our lives and what's happening in the world. And of course, the establishment, those in power, they create narratives about what is true or not true. And as we begin to see the establishment narratives not be able to hold up to scrutiny anymore, and we've already seen that, but as that continues and counter narratives are becoming more and more popular and are not authorized by institutions of power, it's going to create further rifts and sections of society, between sections of society, and cause deeper and deeper radicalization of ideas and power factions. And which is then going to lead to the might makes right theme. So Aries is about taking power into our own hands. It's that is such a key part of it, taking power into our own hands, self-empowerment, the energy to do something for ourselves and by ourselves, and taking decisive and immediate action to make a change. So when I say that might makes right, it means that this will be the era when raw power overtakes whatever beliefs you may have. So might makes right, usually people have a negative connotation of that, because it's saying that if you're powerful, you create the morality. It's moral if you are powerful. Or that what I'm trying to say is that I'm disconnecting from the ethical aspect of it. So I don't mean to say that a person or an institution, whatever they do is moral just because they're more powerful. What it means is that when it comes down to when the rubber meets the road, what can you actually do about a situation that asserts your self-autonomy and independence? So for example, if programmed money and central bank digital currencies come into effect, and you want to opt out of that system, you don't want to do that, what can you actually do about it? The past era was about controlling the narrative, about making sure everyone believed the right thing. And then you could extend that off into all eras, but there was a hyper focus on that. We need to control the narrative. And it was a battle for beliefs and what narrative is the most true. But this era is going to be about what means of power do you actually have individually? Or what does a group collective, what is their real power to preserve what it is that you want? And are you willing to fight and to change in order to, are you willing to fight and change what you need to change, or hold on to what you need to hold on in order to live the life that you want to live? And not a life that is planned out or given to you or imposed on you. So I am asked all the time, what can I do if extreme or radical new laws come to pass that are being imposed on your sense of freedom and the inherent freedom of human beings? So the pandemic was a test of this. If you don't want to do what you're being told to do, what are you going to do about it? What is your actual ability? And to really harness in, if you want to reject something or if you don't want to go along with something, what are you going to do about it? There are things you can do. You can speak out and you can organize, and you can use your willpower to say no, to fight against something or fight for something. So that's what I mean when the rubber hits the road. This transit's going to be about, what are you going to do when the rubber hits the road? What is your actual ability? What is your physical, down-to-earth strength that you can rely on? And what can you do about it? So the big question that everyone is going to need to ask and is going to be connecting with, and it's going to become more and more important in the coming years, is what are you going to actually do about it? So my solution is, of course, self-sufficiency. It's a very Aryan or Aries way to live, is self-sufficient. I can take care of myself. Not 100%, as of course you need other people in your life, but self-sufficiency as best as you possibly can do it. So the opposite of Aries would be dependency, an unhealthy Libra, overly dependent on other people. And so how do you get out of dependency? How do you really harness that ability to be self-sufficient? And it's these little ways that you can start to become more self-sufficient, which build into a stronger person. So more bigger ways would be for example, a dream would be having your own well for water. I was at a friend's house the other day, and it was the first time in my life where I've been to a proper well where they had to use a machine to drill in over 100 meters through rock to get to a pristine well in the earth. And it pumps out straight into his house. And it depends on local zoning and laws and everything, but he lives off in a more rural area, but he has a well on his property that you just turn on the faucet, that water is coming straight from deep within the earth. It's pure water. And it was amazing to actually see someone with that. He just has to pump it out. So that's one way of being self-sufficient. You have a water source that's on your property, and you own that water, that's your water. So that is an extremely self-sufficient thing to have. Not everyone can do it, but that's a great thing. And also growing your own food. That is, again, a big project in and of itself. It's a life mission to do that, but that's what the core of self-sufficiency is. And then also smaller things like knowing your neighbors and working towards common goals with the people who you live around. And there's not going to be, these aren't easy things to do, but these are some of the most important things you can do, is small ways of becoming self-sufficient. If that's just growing growing herbs to put into your food, and to have an herb garden to start taking care of your health and not depend on mass systems to take care of your own health. So the urge to become self-sufficient is going to be an extremely powerful theme for this transit for the next 14 years. And this is a massive subject all on its own. And here I'm just wanting to express there's going to be this deep desire and this deep connection stirred up within people to take their power back. Not just on a not symbolically, but on a real, and I use that phrase, rubber hits the road, on a real level, which is extremely practical and consequential, that affects your life right in the here and now. And so this is going to be an era of heavy conflict over resources and land, which are there to guarantee self-sufficiency. And I'd like to say that the hardest part is just getting started. Just doing that initial thing to start getting you on the path towards self-sufficiency. And that's what this era is going to help people do. Connect to that Aries thrust of energy to make the initial important changes to your life that are going to set you up to become stronger and more, the ability to be more independent, and the ability to really enjoy the sensation of what actual freedom is, which is the opposite of dependency.